Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and this is my brutally honest review for Call of Duty Black Ops 7, because I just stayed up all night essentially chugging Monster and getting headshots, and now, after having completed the main campaign, gotten hundreds of kills in all the multiplayer modes, and played a decent amount of zombies, I hate this game. And I want to say that I've played a lot of Call of Duty. There's been some good ones, there's been some terrible ones, but this is by far the worst, with crappy AI art, lazy map reuse, weapons that just feel unfun. This game is so bad, I'm actually just shocked they had the guts to release it. This is a travesty. I feel like even Call of Duty fans are absolutely going to just say, screw this. And it's not just the fact that we've gotten so many good first-person shooters lately, right? I mean, I feel like I've been playing a lot of stuff like Arc Raiders and, of course, Battlefield 6. It's not even trying to compare it to other shooters. This, on its own, even as a Call of Duty, it's a dumpster fire. But let's break this video into 3 separate chunks. We're going to talk about the campaign, which is honestly so bad you're maybe not even going to believe some of the gameplay. The multiplayer, like the 6v6 versus modes, which are decently fun, but definitely not fully fleshed out. And finally, the new zombies. But let's get into it. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's start with the campaign. They call it campaign co-op because now you can fully play it multiplayer. You could do that in some of the other Call of Duties, but it's definitely intended to be essentially a 4-player matchup. Now, let's just say the one positive thing about Black Ops 7, something I think it absolutely does right, and it is something that I think I'm glad it carries over to every aspect of this game. The aiming has never felt smoother. Control, movement, sliding, shooting, aiming. It feels fantastic. Call of Duty does a lot of stuff very, very wrong. Bad time to kill, tons of microtransactions, but the one thing that Call of Duty has always been some of the very best at is the instantaneous response time. Swinging to get a headshot, swap between weapons. It does feel better than ever. But in this campaign, the idea is that we're playing as the son of Alex Mason, and we're basically going against this mysterious super billionaire conglomerate group. It's basically evil Elon Musk and an army of robots. But what makes these missions incredibly bad, the entire single-player campaign or multiplayer campaign, it's about 4 hours long. It's 12 missions. A lot of them are very scripted. The 12th one is kind of more opened up, but essentially, the way this works is that you're going from area to area and you keep getting hit by fear toxin. This evil group called the Guild is basically trying to make this stuff that like drives people crazy. But what's weird about this is that you and all your co-op partners see the same thing. And essentially this lets you basically go on like time travel missions. You take your current day weapons and go to like different eras. That way you can sort of have flashbacks and callbacks to other events in the Call of Duty timeline. Did you even know there is a Call of Duty timeline? Yeah, there's some stuff like they talk about Frank Woods and stuff in this quite a bit, but I feel like not only is the story incredibly bad, I feel like the action, the cutscenes, it is just awful. A lot of this straight up feels like they just took multiplayer maps or Warzone maps and put like quest objectives on them. I think what annoyed me the most about the single player, I'm going to keep calling it the single player because calling it the multiplayer campaign feels dumber. The single player actually requires the other players to participate for triggering events. You'll have a massive open world map and you got to go to like a particular checkpoint, an underground connection, some person that's going to give you info to progress the mission. And unfortunately, whoopsie-doodle, it doesn't progress until everybody is there. There's a lot of times straight up where it's very annoying to try and coordinate with a bunch of people on a giant area of essentially a big sprawling map filled with killer robots and say, hey, everybody go to the dock at once. It's just not fun. I mean, I feel like trying to call this the multiplayer campaign doesn't really sum it up. I think they should have just made this a bunch of freestanding missions and not tried to have any sort of overarching story and plot twists and weird flashbacks. There is so much in here that I feel like just doesn't work. I also gotta say, it's a personal gripe of mine. I hate that Call of Duty games are filled with Hollywood celebrities. Usually, not to be too mean, but washed up Hollywood celebrities. A lot of the people in this game, I haven't seen them in anything in years and years and years. And I guess Call of Duty said, hey, do you want to be the main character of some random shooter? And they go, sure, great, pay me whatever it takes. The story is awful. The combat is awful. The whole world is awful. It's basically a shooting gallery. These things barely fight back. But essentially, part of the reason you probably will play the campaign is that it's basically an extended tutorial. It teaches you about gadgets, about perks, about the weapons, and it does level you up. Something I do like about Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and it's something that's existed in other Call of Duties, is shared progression. No matter what you play, your account levels up. And leveling up essentially unlocks new stuff to your individual weapons, new perks, new abilities, new special guns and stuff. And I've always liked the fact that what Call of Duty does do well is that carrot on a stick, constantly giving that little thing hanging in front of your face that says, hey, do you want this new shotgun? Are you trying to get this new crazy kill streak? I do like the fact that no matter whether you're playing multiplayer, zombies, or campaign, you're always unlocking stuff. And you can even level up your guns. So if there's something you want to experiment with, but you don't want to mess up your KD ratio in multiplayer matches, you can do the campaign and essentially really get a chance to test out that stuff. I think the campaign is bad, but in a way, the PvP, the player versus player combat, the standard multiplayer, it somehow feels worse. So this brings back the typical 6v6 matches. In this, there are 16 maps. 13 are new, 3 are remade. They're bringing out a 4th remade map, which of course is Nuketown. They bring Nuketown to all of them. I gotta say that the time to kill in this is good. I think that Call of Duty this time around, I think they've got a good speed to it. Everything about this, though, it feels like a cell phone game to me. The sound design is bad. Everything sounds so tinny and hollow. A lot of times the impact, the damage, everything just feels so muted and emotionless. And honestly, it feels like it's supposed to be on a cell phone screen instead of my 4K TV, right? And I also gotta say that there are other Call of Duties that have done it. I hate the giant floating health bars. They look atrocious. Something is so stupid about giant floating health bars telling me how close I am to killing my target. It's so immersion breaking, but also I just feel like in general, what are we doing? Why would you even think of putting giant floating health bars? I feel like this PvP, I've won a lot of matches. I've come in first place a bunch of matches. It just doesn't have that satisfying feeling of actually doing good. It feels so empty. Whereas when you actually practice sniping or camping or anything when it comes to Battlefield 6 or any other shooter, there's this rewarding feeling when you specifically get good at it. Whereas being good at Call of Duty, who cares? It feels so freaking soulless, right? And that's definitely not helped by the fact that there's clearly AI art all over the place. AI upscaling a lot of the textures, AI art for all the posters in the levels, all the little like character backgrounds and stuff. It's all clearly AI generated art. Call of Duty makes billions and billions of dollars. It is the top selling game every single year. How could you possibly just cheap out on paying your existing art team? Hey, could you make, I don't know, a green background? Why even AI generate this? I don't even understand why you would cheap out on a game that makes more money than God, right? So, of course, this does bring back the typical upgrade system where as your guns level up, you can make custom loadouts. Now, there are perks that do stuff like scavenging weapons, more times where if you flashbang people, it actually points them out on the map for everybody. A lot of the perks, I guess, they're fine. They don't feel as good as some other years. They're, as generic as always. The weapons themselves do feel good. I still like the whole way that weapons level up and how you have like these specific slots and you can only equip 6 separate upgrades. I've always thought the Call of Duty upgrade system is good. I think the upgrade system here is as great as it's always been, right? I still think it's just nice to have sort of this like point system where you have this risk for a reward. Do I want to take off a foregrip to get a sniper rifle? Do I want to put on an extra butt or an extra barrel to make it silenced or make it have better hipfire accuracy? The customization of the weapons is actually pretty deep, but since it really doesn't matter because it goes into the blandest PvP areas of all time, it does kind of feel like a bit of, over trying wet farts. Now, let's talk about the zombies. I do think that zombies is the one area I've been having the most fun in, but after like 4 hours of it, I don't know, I really can't see myself going back. Now, for zombies, they're bringing back classic survival mode, which hasn't existed in like a decade, but I specifically kept trying the waved-based main version called Standard, where essentially, if you've never played zombies, as you try and survive, killing zombies, living, going from round to round, they of course get harder and harder and harder. But killing zombies and even just raw survival gives you money. this lets you unlock extra areas, buy extra perks, which in the multiplayer is essentially these things called gumballs. You can get stuff that'll immediately give you killing multipliers or instant extra armor plates and stuff. I think this new map feels good. The Ashes, what was it called? The Ashes of the Damned. It's very, very fun. Of course, it goes from tiny towns. You can drive cars around going from area to area. As you're unlocking stuff, you start going, of course, to corrupted labs. And it does let you exfiltrate every 10 waves, or after wave 10, every 5 waves. Essentially, the longer you live, it's this risk versus reward. Do I want to try and get out with my current amount of XP, my current amount of rewards? It's a fun system. I still feel like I'm not the biggest Zombies fan, and I feel like the fact that I had so much fun with this version of Zombies, I think that's a credit to how well balanced it is. There's something so nice about, grabbing that gun off the wall, spending your last money to get a big upgrade to it, mowing down a bunch of zombies, and then a boss shows up and you barely survive it. I think this is decent Zombies, but for a $70 game with basically no campaign worth even talking about, a multiplayer that feels so bad, and then finally a half-decent Zombies game, it just feels like, honestly, tacked on. I feel like Zombies is the one thing that has the biggest fan base, and it's funny that, if anything, those fans are probably going to be sad that this does feel still so limited in the entirety of Black Ops 7. I will say that now, after having played almost 12 hours of it, it's extremely disappointing. In my heart of hearts, as a person that's been playing Call of Duty now since pretty much the very, very start, almost 20 years ago, I'm very much missing the old school grounded era, right? Maybe different strokes for different folks, but the fact that, I miss Call of Duty World War II, those old ones especially, that took place in World War II. Now we have robot skins, tons of microtransactions, constantly pushing to buy battle passes and seasons and stuff. I feel like this is that time where it feels like everybody is trying to be Fortnite. Everybody is trying to copy the Fortnite formula instead of just doing their own thing. Where other companies are making their own genres, their own passion, their own amazingness, they're doing it right. Call of Duty is a copycat at best and a waste of time at worst. All right, so we've heard a lot of bad and some good. Let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Call of Duty Black Ops 7 a 4 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you could, please give this video a like. It would mean a lot to me. And somehow, if you're one of those people that I got a chance to team up with or kill in those matches, thanks for the good times. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it more than I did, because what the heck? I mean, truly, I am in a spot where I'm legitimately baffled they had the balls to release this. I mean, I know some people are saying Call of Duty has been going downhill for years, but buddy, I think this is pretty much rock freaking bottom. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please give this video a like. Let's see if we can get this to, 3,000 likes. But, I appreciate you watching. If you could, please subscribe if you haven't already. And, of course, keep dreaming. I enjoyed staying up all night playing this game. It's always fun doing that. I just have a lot of nostalgia for those midnight releases. But this is one of those games where I guess this didn't unlock at midnight. It unlocked early yesterday. But now after having a whole day with it, man, I've never been so excited to uninstall a game from my hard drive. God, it's 200 gigs of this.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.